My overall philosophy on healthcare, the biggest problem we have in this country for healthcare is that capitalism is good because it instills research, cutting edge. People want to get ahead. They want to make a buck on something new that they develop. But the trouble is there's a lot of waste in healthcare of how people develop things that are marginal or not helpful at all, but yet things can be twisted and turned and make it look like they are helpful and beneficial, and they really are not that much more beneficial. I give the example of diabetes, how we have all these things to treat diabetes with, and I rarely use any medications beyond the basic oral medicines that have been out there, and I'll add some insulin sometimes, or combinations of some of the old insulins, and I can get A1Cs or how you control diabetes just as good as people who use all these expensive new technological preparations for diabetes. And a lot of it has to do with education and learning to tune your medicines to how that patient lives his day. It's a lot harder to change a patient's behavior, but it's a lot easier to modulate your treatment plan around how they live their life. Granted, they have to make some changes, but yet you have to accommodate and not make a rigid structure for them on how they have to take care of it. And so, I always do really well on how percentage of my diabetics are controlled. And it's not because I use all the fancy drip medications and stuff, but I use the basics, but learn how to use them appropriately with each patient.
You got a busy day today.
Yeah.
What are they hauling?
Silence.
Oh, silence.
So that's a big thing with capitalism, is that everybody's trying to make a dollar, and they make their medications or their products sound like these as this is the one that you use for you, and I can't believe how many medical providers get sucked in to utilizing certain things for patient care. And that's one of the reasons we have such a problem with opioid addiction in this country, is because the providers got sucked in, and they were told that, this medicine's, say if you use OxyContin and you use it, then you don't have to worry about valleys and spikes, that these people will always have this in their bloodstream. And the trouble is common sense tells you that this stuff is addicting, and when you get so much and doesn't work anymore, you want more. And then to get these people off this medication. And now we have this big problem. And so part of it is the provider's fault by not being smart enough to know what's right or wrong, and part of it is the pharmaceutical companies and these committees that are biased, that recommend what we should do to take care of patients with certain chronic problems such as pain.
Do you have a specific case where someone has gotten addicted to opioids? Or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got a lady whose son who had his knee surgery, and that he got these pain pills for his knee, got addicted to them, and ended up addicted to OxyContin, and ended up overdosing and killing himself. He was 20-some years old. Yep. And this is nothing new. I mean, you can find these stories all over the place. And yet, medicine hasn't said anything and raised their hand and said, I'm guilty, this is our fault. for following these recommendations and listening to these pharmaceutical companies. Nobody wants to take the responsibility for making bad decision. Yeah, so.